So on behalf of St. Xavier's College, Mumbai, and also on my personal behalf, I welcome you all, including our resource person, the main speaker, Dr. Shivangi Kaul, to the first ever online faculty seminar for the junior college teachers.
So thank you so much, Mr. Naqvi and Father, for such a warm welcome. And again, looking forward to this session. I'm really excited, let's say. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. So without wasting too much time, I will just share my screen now. And before we go ahead, let me just also introduce Anju Patra, who's my colleague, who's there with me. She'll be there to help me through the session for any technical assistance, because while I'm doing the presentation, I may not be able to see your comments on chat. So if at all there's anything, she'll be there around.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, Shivangi.
Yeah. Welcome, Anju Patra. Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Great. So I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Great. So before we go ahead, I'll quickly just take you through a bit of Zoom guidelines, because I understand that not many of you may have been working on Zoom. If you like, and if possible, I know some of you are on a phone, some of you are on laptop. Those who can, probably you can rename yourself so that I know who's talking when they're speaking. There are also some other functionalities like raising your hand. But again, if you are not able to find it, all right, just unmute and feel free to interrupt in between. Also, I think most of you already know most of you are already on mute. Video would be ideal so that I can see you and you can see me and we have a conversation going there. For the breakout rooms, we'll be doing some activities. For the breakout room, as we go along, I will just instruct. You can just follow the instructions. So so some of the points that we will be covering today are mentioned here. But the main objective of this presentation is going to be that towards the end of this workshop, I hope that you are able to at least take 1 or 2 strategies to cope with stress. That is what I'm really looking for towards the end of the session. Now, before I talk about what is stress, maybe let me start with a story. So there's something which happened to me a few days ago. And this is a very important session which I'm doing. So I'm supposed to do a virtual session for a group of senior leaders who have just been retrenched, and they are all located in different parts of the globe. Now I'm thinking about the fact that I have never done something like this before. It is a very sensitive topic, and addressing them in a group rather than individually can lead to some overflow of emotions. Nonetheless, I tell myself, it's going to be all right. And I log in 10 minutes before and I check my camera, audio, PPT, and I'm all set. Now participants now start pouring in and I'm ready to start. As soon as I start, I hear 2 random voices saying that you're breaking up and you're not clear. I ask them to log out and log in again. While we wait for them to join in, I compose myself and start again, and I'm ready to go. I start again, but this time I realize I'm the only one on that call. God, is this really happening to me? My internet connection has just betrayed me. It's all right, Shivangi. I log in again. I apologize for the technical glitches and I start again. Soon I get to know that I'm still unclear and breaking up. Now, this is exactly why I hate to use WebEx. I should have insisted on using Zoom, I thought. Somehow I managed to start the session with a pounding heart and cold hands and a wavering voice. By now, you all know, and you would have guessed that I'm already stressed and eventually very stressed by the time I've started my session. Now, hold on to your thought here. We will revisit this story maybe a little bit later. But before that, let's discuss what is stress. So when events or experiences are perceived as threats or challenges to an individual experiences stress. Stress is a feeling of emotional strain and pressure. It is also a type of psychological pain. Now, before we go ahead, I would like to know some of your reasons why and what causes stress in most of you. So for this, I would like you to log on to menti.com. I will just share my screen for the details. Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay. So can you see my screen? You can all, Anju, maybe you can just respond for others. So I hope you're able to see the screen. And
yes.
Yes, and you can just log on to www.menti.com. So if you're on a device, I would suggest you, if you're using a laptop or a desktop, I would suggest use your phone. For those who are on the phone, you can just open an alternate window and just log on to www.menti.com and just type in the code. You will get an access. Okay, so I can see people have started responding. If anyone is finding it difficult, just unmute and ask me. I can just probably help you if you're stuck somewhere.
Shivangi, I'm not participating because I'm multitasking. I'm doing something else. So please excuse me if I am not very active, like, you know.
Sure,
so
sure, sure.
I think being the host or co-organizer, I think I can take that much liberty.
Sure, sure, sure. No, no problem. No problem. So I'm just repeating the instructions. Just log on to your internet. Just open Google or Chrome or whatever you're using, and just type www.menti.com. Type in the code, and you can fill in your responses there. So I can see 7 people have responded.
Is anyone facing any issues?
Feel free to unmute and ask me.
Yes, what is the code we have to type in, please?
Code is 200796. It's mentioned on the top of the slide. If you, but I'll just repeat in case you're off the Zoom. 200796.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello.
Yes.
Shivangi.
Yes.
Hi, this is Rajni. How do I, in the chat, I'm not getting an option of sending the message.
Chat is down. There's a bubble. Have you if you've logged in from your laptop or
from the laptop.
Yeah. Yes. So there is something called as participants down. Can you see that?
There is work, family.
Okay, so you are already in Mentimeter. So so you choose which area of your life causes the maximum amount of stress. So you just select and submit your response, whether it is work for you, is it family for you, is it environmental factors, is it technology, is it health issues? What is it that causes stress to you?
Just click on it.
Yes, just select that and submit your response.
Okay.
Then ma'am, it's showing that please wait for the presenter to show the next slide. Is that right?
If you have already entered, then
yes.
I think that will come.
Yes.
If you have,
yes.
Yeah.
Because there are 2 questions, so I will come to the next one. Don't log off from there. This is the first slide, so I will be sharing one more, but once we are done with this one. Okay. So I can see 26 participants have already responded.
Yeah.
And it looks like work is the highest reason or the reason for stress in this group.
Yeah, and that's increasing.
And that's still increasing, yes. It's still increasing. So I think more or less we have, so I will not really spend too much time on this. The idea was just to get what exactly is the main trigger for stress in your life. What we can clearly see at the moment from what the group has responded is that work takes the lead, followed by health, technology, and environmental factors are more or less similar, but work clearly is the leader when it comes to stress. So let me now go on to the next slide, which is a linked slide. And now what we want to know, again, if you're already on Mentimeter, if you're already on www.menti.com, then you just need to respond to this question. What is the reason for being stressed? You have already selected the area, but in that area, let's say if it is work for you, what in work causes stress to you? Or what in your personal life causes stress to you? So you can now respond maybe in the form of 2-3 words or sentences, and the responses will start flowing. This is just, so somebody has mentioned technology. What in technology? So people can also mention things like, little more in detail as to, is it inability to handle technology or training, lack of training? So it would be nice if people can, okay, students not complying with request, logically, online teaching, etc. Not able to meet demands, making presentation, travel in overcrowded trains, struggles dealing with issues between family members. Okay. Okay. 24/7 work, not being able to spend time with family when things are not going good around. This nature being exploited, trying to keep all family members together and satisfied. I like this point, trying to keep all family members together and satisfied. We will discuss a little bit about this later as we go along. Student-teacher ratio. Yes, we are going to discuss that too. Trying to keep all family members. Struggles with health issues in family. Okay. Exposure to completely new situation. Present situation is unprecedented and is only related to health issues. Travel is time consuming. Travel in overcrowded trains. Struggles with health issues in family. Health problems put restrictions to various activities. How to fix internet connection is a main issue. Preparation of effective slides. We are going to touch upon this as well. Yes. Internet connectivities. Health issues in family. So we have 26 responses so far. Okay. So I hope you're able to see my slide, slide still. So you're able to see everybody else's response as well as it's coming.
Yeah, we are able to see.
Okay. Struggles with deadline and to figuring out how to improve myself and be happy with my work. Internet connectivity definitely seems to be an issue. Okay. So I think a quick half a second more and then let's resume to my presentation. So what we saw was that people are struggling. Some of them are struggling with technology. Others are trying to figure out and working on health. They have concerns. Some of them are still stressed out about student-teacher ratio, student behavior. Now let's see what research has got to say. interestingly, or rather sadly, I would say, 1 in 5 teachers feel tense about their job most of the times, according to the National Foundation of Education report. Only of all teachers reported both low level of stress and high coping abilities, which means that only 7% of the teachers felt to manage the stress when they're under stress, or that they have very little stress. Now the situation is even more alarming post-COVID. Now the third point is actually a research. When post-COVID, teachers were asked about what were the 3 things or 3 emotions they felt after COVID. And almost 5,000 teachers responded. And when they responded, they said that most of them felt anxious, fearful, worried, overwhelmed, and sad. And anxiety was the most repeated emotion amongst all. Stress definitely seems to be a concern for teachers, and more so after COVID. Why is teaching stressful? Like many of you, that sometimes it's student behavior, sometimes it's the ratio, the classes, the student, the ratio of teacher to student ratio, and there are many other reasons, like based on the research and what what research and data shows, there are many reasons why teaching can be stressful. So student behavior, of course, is one. The growing class size, the increasing level of stress. COVID has now increased the stress level even in the students, and when students have build up that stress, that also has a ripple effect on managing the students within the class. It could also be sometimes because of the school leadership, lack of autonomy and lack of ability to influence decision can also increase the stress level of teachers. Sometimes low pay and more duties is also another reason. Teachers often have come up with concerns like that there is too much time spent in proctoring tests or any ad hoc work, which could be another reason for being stressed out. Technology and related challenges. Many of you mentioned when we were discussing what exactly stresses you. Many of you have mentioned about technology. Like we saw, it's not just the workplace stress. There are also other concerns. With COVID, we have all the family working at home. We have a class going on for a child, for the husband, for the wife. Everybody is trying to juggle. Sometimes the house size is small. Sometimes there are not enough rooms in the house. Sometimes the internet connectivity is slow. There are various reasons why you would be stressed out post-COVID. Now, what science shows us is that when individuals are stressed, they release a hormone called as cortisol and adrenaline. And over a period of time, when stress becomes chronic, it also affects your brain size and even genes, which means that if you're stressed, you're not only impacting yourself today, but also the next generations. In fact, there is research which shows that the prefrontal cortex shrinks over a period of time if you're under chronic stress, which means that prefrontal cortex is mainly responsible for concentration, decision-making. All of that gets actually difficult if you are under tremendous amount of stress. Likewise, fewer new brain cells are formed if you're constantly under stress. And eventually, in some cases, it may even lead to dementia. So is stress really always bad? The answer probably is no. Now, what happens? Let's say if a cup of hot tea is about to spill over on you, your instant reaction is to withdraw. Stress actually triggers fight, flight response, which means that it can save you from danger. Another thing about stress is eustress. Now, what is eustress? Eustress is something which is more like a positive stress. So at times, let's say if you have a wedding in a family, or your wife is expecting and you're going to have a baby, or you yourself are going to have a baby, you are stressed, but yet you are positively stressed. So eustress can actually motivate you. It can make you excited. It can make you look forward. So eustress is a kind of good stress. Now, the third point here is about Yerkes-Dodson law. Now, it is known that optimal amount of stress can actually elevate the performance. It can actually make you do better. So, for example, if you look at the graph on the right-hand side, when there is very less stress or less stimulation, likely to feel bored. You're likely to feel tired. You're likely to be less enthusiastic about things. But as your stress level increases, so does your performance. After a point in time, there comes a point in time where you are at the best of your performance. But if the level of stress continues to increase, your performance will gradually dip and you will become stressed and restless. So optimum amount of stress is extremely good for your performance. Now, this is the slide which I would really like to spend my time on. We discussed a little bit about cognitive response. We discussed about emotional response and biochemical response of how our body responds to stress. But I also want to talk about certain behavioral, physical, and physiological response here. Often you must have felt that, if you're very stressed, you are having a throbbing headache, or you feel very tired or fatigued. Now, what happens? I want to spend some time on what happens to you. What happens to you when you are stressed out? So typically it all starts by thinking. You think in a particular way, you feel that thing, and then you act accordingly. So now let's go back to my story when I first started. Now, what happened to me? Let's analyze that. Now, I was actually thinking and making certain assumptions. When I had to do the presentation to the senior leadership team who was retrenched, I assumed that they all were extremely upset because of retrenchment and there could be a meltdown. I assumed that online is not the best platform for this kind of a discussion. I assumed that the group setup is not the ideal to discuss careers. Probably individual executive coaching is ideal. So when I started thinking of the event along these lines, I actually started feeling stressed, maybe nervous. And because of the platform that I was using WebEx, because of the platform, I even got frustrated. And what happened? So this is what I thought, this is what I felt. Now, what did I do? Probably I did not deliver to the best of my ability. My performance was impacted. Maybe I was even low on confidence that day. Now, there are certain aspects of mental processing that play an important role in stress. For example, expectations. Now, let me spend some time on the expectation part of it. There's a concept called as self-fulfilling prophecy that we say many times, in psychology. And I particularly quite like this one because I think since we are so unmindful of it, we end up doing things which are eventually actually harming us. So let me talk about this a little bit more. Now, what is self-fulfilling prophecy? What a person believes will happen or expect to happen sometimes influences their behavior in a manner which increases the likelihood of the feared outcome. That means negative expectations increases anxiety and stress. So let me give you the same example which I was talking about. What happened? When I was so fearful about the entire event and about an emotional meltdown of people, that I was really stressed. And what I believed, and the main thing that I was actually worried about was the technology part. I was not comfortable with WebEx. I was more comfortable with Zoom. So that actually, the thought that what a person believes will happen or expects to happen sometimes influences the behavior. So perhaps my fear somehow, in some form, came true. A similar thing happens sometimes with others. So for example, if you have an average student, but a teacher or a mentor continues to encourage that person, oh, you are brilliant, you can do a great job, or you continue to make him believe that he has the potential to do it, eventually, in the long run, he is more likely to stand up to your expectation. So it works in two ways. It's both. If you have a positive expectation about an event, the other person's behavior will change. And likewise, if you have a negative expectation of yourself or of an event, there is a possibility that your behavior will, there's a possibility that you will influence your behavior. So this was about the expectation part. This is how your mind works. The second part is mental imagery or visual images, visual imagery. Now in psychology, we often, we often tell people to imagine things in their mind if they want to really channelize and think about something positive that could happen. Now, coinciding with expectation for a given situation, a person will develop an associated mental picture or an internal dialogue. Now, this imagery increases anxiety and stress reactions. However, positive expectation, in contrast, can minimize the effect of life stressors and increase the effective coping. So you see, what you are thinking, what you're imagining, it will all have an impact on your life and the stressors and how you're going to eventually act. The third point I want to make here is about self-talk. Now, self-talk is not something which happens, once a day or twice a day. It is an internal dialogue that takes place probably 24/7. Self-talk is a conversation that a person has with himself. So it is very important to have the self-talk tuned in a manner which will reduce stress and which is more positive in nature. So now, before we go ahead, I want you to, so let's probably read Julie's case. And what we are going to do is we will now break out into breakout rooms. But first I'll need a volunteer to read this for me. And once we've read that, I will give you some instructions and then we'll break out into breakout rooms, which Anju will facilitate. So can I ask someone to just unmute and probably just read it out for everyone?
Okay.
Yes, please.
Adil, please.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So activity 2, Julie's case study. Background. Julie is the main coordinator of an inter-college event and she hasn't slept well last night as she is stressed about the event preparations. She is usually on time and hates being late. However, this morning she overslept. I am getting late for work. I rush down to the car park, but I realize I left my keys at home. When I somehow manage to get my keys and start driving to work, I figure out that my car fuel is almost over. I reached college almost 15 minutes late when my daughter's teacher called to inform that she is unwell. Despite the delay, I have to call my husband to close the issue before I get inside my college campus. Phew, I can do it. I compose myself and walk towards the hall. Suddenly, a student comes rushing towards me and accidentally bumps into me, and I drop all my things on the floor. There were lots of unexpected challenges during the day, and the event did not go as I wanted it to be. By the time I reached home, I was so grumpy that I got into an argument with my husband and fired my daughter for being over-dependent on me for everything. And even as I talk, I have a throbbing headache. I guess today I am having a bad day. Task, let's analyze what happened here. Think, feel, do.
Thank you, Mr. Adil.
Welcome.
So now let's analyze what exactly happened here. Now, what we will be doing before you split into your groups, we will be making 4 groups, and each group will be discussing about what was Julie thinking, what was she feeling, and what doing, and what is it that she could have done differently to avoid having such a stressful day. So now, before you break out into your rooms, I would request you to just take a picture of this case, because this will not be visible to you once you get into your breakout rooms, or just take a screenshot, whatever is convenient. And there will be a group leader. I have conveniently, I've taken the liberty of being the group leader. So whoever is alphabetically first in the group, the name is first in the group, will be the group leader. And you need to write down all the points that the group is discussing. And eventually, once we come back, we will be discussing what those points were. The group leader will summarize what the group discussed when we back to the common session.
Correct.
So before we move out, I hope everyone is clear. If you have any queries, you can ask me now. Okay. So I'm assuming it is clear. Anju will be, Anju, you can send them.
Shivangi, how many groups you said? 4 groups.
4 groups. It will be a 5-minute activity. So within 5 minutes, you'll be given only 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you will automatically move back to the main room. Just one more thing, instruction, when Anju is moving you to the breakout rooms, a small option, a tab will appear to you, which will say you have been asked to move out to the room. You just accept it. It will take a few seconds when you go to your group. Do not press anything else in between. Wait for it to come. Okay?
Yeah.
And at the end
So
of it, you will
just after
automatically
reaching the, yeah.
Sure.
So
Anju,
after reaching the room, just see that who is the leader, so that he or she is noting down the things, so that after coming back can brief it. Since this automatically it will be all allocated, these breaking zones. So you will find out the leader after reaching there.
right? So you can put them in the breakout rooms now, Anju.
Yeah,
No, but I think it was quite interesting, Shivangi.
interesting.
Yes, it was interesting, sir.
It was interesting.
I also joined one of the groups. It was interesting. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We enjoyed.
Great. Nice. So in fact, I think I should have probably just hidden myself and not joined a group, because I realized the group in which I was there, they were exceptionally quiet. So I was very curious what's happening in others. So who would like to go first about what happened? Maybe group number 1, if you saw the group numbers. Did you see the group numbers?
Yes, Adil sir, that's our group, breakout room number 1. That was ours.
Yeah. Adil, you are our spokesperson.
Yes.
Adil sir, your mic.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
So, number of responses from different people, we have tried to put them together. First and foremost, I had to change my spelling of my name so that I was the leader. So, juggling many, the lady had to juggle many responses at the same time. She overthought about the problem from the previous day, and in a manner of speaking that added on to the problems, and things started going as she was stressed from the previous day about the event. One of the group members felt that she should have put 2 alarms, because however stressed you are, if you have something important to do, it is not that you will get up late or you will oversleep on a day when you have something which is of importance. So maybe this is one of the things she could have done to overcome the problem. Another member felt that there was displacement when things started going wrong. It all added up, and then that started being put on to different people, whether it was on the daughter or whether it was on the husband or whether it was the person's headache. Yes. And she wanted everything to go precisely and perfectly on that day, and that is what added on. So a sort of defense mechanism was put into place, which created things going more and more wrong because of that stress from the previous day that everything has to go perfectly, or this is the problem, or this has to happen. So that is what I have to say. If I missed anything, any of my members can please add on.
Maybe she became a little negative towards the end or something. You know, like she became so negative at the end of the day towards Felix became so negative that she started taking it out on everybody. So that was also something.
Right. So can we now move to group 2? So Mr. Rajesh, I think, was, because we were in group 2. We were in group 2. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, I got very less responses in my group, I think. And I missed some of the responses because I had no pen and book with me. So whatever I noted, I can explain. Praveen, you can explain your responses because I missed.
Yeah, there was someone 1+7. Sorry, I don't know your name. 7.
This is Praveen.
Yes.
Praveen.
Yeah, Praveen.
A few more points like will be just a repetition because Adil has already spoken on that.
And since the lady was assuming so many things, that has made certain errors in her calculation of the future events. So since she was assumed so many things, she was already stressed out, and then that has increased the sort of negativity about the coming situation. So it was difficult for her to coordinate the things and to maintain the perfect balance between the task as well as the challenges as well as the problems. Anything else, other members?
I think she was not able to communicate with her husband properly because of her daughter was not well. It may be also reason. And due to the physical stress, she was not able to sleep last night. So because of that, she was not in good position. And Sandhya madam said something I missed out that. So if Sandhya madam is there, she can explain.
Yes, Sandhya, you can. Is Sandhya around? Yeah.
Sandhya madam, your mic is mute.
Yeah.
Hello, Sandhya madam.
Just says that she should have planned properly, considering all possibilities.
Right. So you can go in the next.
And with the husband and what all things can happen, because the event was a big event and that time you will have to be prepared with everything. So that I think she hasn't done. That's what I felt. And that's why too much of stress on her self, and then she did not manage it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Group 2. I think we should quickly move to Group 3 and Group 4 because I'm mindful of the time as well. So Group 3, who's the leader?
Sachin sir.
We are Group 4, no?
Group 3.
I think
Ankita is Group 3.
Ankita is there. Ankita. Sorry. Sorry. I didn't
okay.
see the mic thing. Hi, this is Ankita. First thing, she did not sleep properly. That is why she was little in hurry. So everything was going messed up. So she should have sleep properly first of all. And suppose if she didn't sleep properly, so she should have some meditation so that she could keep calm herself and everything. So, and the second thing, she was quite stressed. So if she will keep calm and do things properly, so everything will go in proper manner. And I think Shakti ma'am will explain more briefly. So ma'am, please brief. She was stressed. Actually, she could not do time management properly. So because of lack of time management, she was not able to cope up with all the stresses she was facing as a coordinator or the main person of the event, which was cause of her stress. She could have planned her activity in advance much better so that the stress could have been reduced. And then because of all the stresses, she placed all the stress on time, which led to more problems.
Right.
That was all we all discussed. And some of the members said she was overconfident, so she did not took any notice of the event properly or the whole situation properly.
Right. So thank you, group number 3. Let's move to group number 4 now.
Okay.
Who was the leader? Yes.
Yeah. So shall I speak?
Yes,
with
please.
your permission. Yeah. So actually, some of the responses that we actually, after discussion, that we wrote down some points, have already been discussed by group 1, 2, and 3. I would like to add a few things like, lack of proper planning is one. Then there was too much of expectation that she had. And I feel, to sum it up, I would like to say something that happened not the way she expected made her angry. So she had a lot of plans and it didn't go that way. So there was some expectation that she had about this entire day, and it didn't go that way. So that made her angry. Yeah. So from my group, if anyone wants to add a few points, or if I have missed out something. She also took too much of pressure on herself.
Great. So I think a big round of applause for all of you for being so participative. I think let me quickly take you back to the slide. You can put yourselves on mute again. I hope, Anju, my slide is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, great. Now, now we discussed about, a lot of you mentioned about that she did not plan well, she could have planned well. Some even said that she got so stressed out, she hadn't slept very well last night. So it had a, it had an impact on her. Some said she was overburdened. I heard someone mention that in my group. So we see a lot of evaluation in that sense. But now my question is, let's say that she did all her planning before, but she still ended up oversleeping. So now that event has already occurred, what is it that she can do now? In that perspective, let me discuss the circle of influence here. What you see in front of you is the circle of influence. The green circle that you see, and this is a very important one, I think, and I feel that I often apply this in my life as well. And it's something which everybody can apply. When you look at the green circle, it is something which is in your control. So let's take Julie's example. What is it that was in her control? I'll come back to it. Let me first explain the circle, and then maybe let's discuss in the context of Julie. So the green circle is more about what is it in her control? What was it that could have been in her control? The orange circle is more about what is it that she can influence, and the red circle is mainly about the circle of concern. So now going back to Julie's case, how would we apply the circle of influence? Probably, maybe if she did not panic after she woke up late, she would be able to think clearly. She could have perhaps taken a cab, which could have saved her the parking time, and the car was out of fuel. Or maybe she could have taken a train. So that would have given her some leeway, some time to relax and compose her thoughts, because ultimately she was the main coordinator. Now, what happened to her? In her case, her thoughts were so negative right from the beginning, and she was so worried that her entire day got influenced by what she was thinking. What was she feeling then? When she started thinking that, oh, I'm late, everything started seeming very negative to her. Even when the student crashed into her, probably by mistake, she probably got uncomfortable about the fact. When there was a call from her school, instead of being composed at that point in time, since anyway she was running late, she got further panicked and she got further frustrated about the whole call. And which she eventually in the evening, she removes it on her daughter when she meets her back, and she fires her for being over-dependent. The entire day, so there was a ripple effect. All throughout, one event led to another, and another. Now, what is it that she could have done differently? Could she control the fact that her teacher, the daughter's teacher, called up to say that she was unwell? Could she control her daughter's illness? Probably no. That was beyond her control. She couldn't do that. Could she have prevented the student from crashing into her? Probably no, because that just happened. She couldn't do much about it. What is it that she could have controlled? She could have she could have controlled her thoughts, how she felt, and whether she chose to be grumpy or not throughout the day or towards the end of the day. So many times, we get so involved in the moment that we lose sight of what is in my control. Am I really controlling this? Am I really focusing on my circle of control, or am I getting carried away by the circle of concern? Where you spend your time and energy is very important, and that is what will decide whether you choose to be stressed, or whether will you be stressed or will you not be stressed. So circle of influence is something which I think is a constant reminder that we must give ourselves every time we feel stress, and every time we feel that we are frustrated with something, could be any event, whether we can really influence it, whether we can control it, or whether it is just a concern and probably we have to live with it. Now, let me now talk about how I can manage stress. We spoke about, many of you said that she could have planned better. She could have, worked it out in such a manner that this should not have happened. But in real life, things happen. Sometimes you oversleep by mistake. Sometimes your car has a crash and you are late for a very important meeting. So when life throws some stressors to you, how do you manage it? Now let's talk about that. Now the first one is emotional first aid. Now this is my favorite and I do it all the time. So, many times what happens is that, we are so stressed. Could be a student, could be a colleague who passed a nasty comment, could be anyone. We are so stressed. We are already handling so many of our other things that, in the moment, we are so frustrated that we probably want to bang the table. So 2-minute distraction is all about trying to refocus your thoughts from now into something else. So let's say, for example, your child has behaved in a manner which is absolutely inappropriate in a public place, and you're so frustrated about it, and you really want to get back to him, probably even slap him. The best thing to do at that point in time is probably go have a glass of water. Or just look at Facebook for a minute. That would allow you some time before you react, before you let your thoughts take control of your actions. So emotional first aid might seem something very easy, but I think it needs a lot of practice because it doesn't come to people naturally when they're angry. How can I go and have a glass of water right now? I want to break her head. So, that is the kind of emotion you may feel. But I think with constant practice, one may be able to channelize your thoughts eventually. Now, the second point here is do it the Gestalt way. The Gestalt psychology is a group of psychologists who believe that sum is greater than the part. Now, what they say is that often we end up focusing on a small aspect. We must look at the bigger picture. Sometimes we get so disturbed by something which may, of course, at that point in time may seem something which is very, very important and something which has, brought your world upside down. But is that really the thing? You look at the bigger picture. So for example, I may be having a very bad day right now, but overall, when I look at my life, probably in Julie's case, maybe in the morning, her husband gave her a rose or her daughter made a beautiful card for her. Or probably she was blessed to have a helper make a special breakfast for her. So, we are not really looking at the whole day. We are just getting so obsessed with one situation and one stress in life that we are actually not looking at the bigger picture. So it is important sometimes to remove your focus from the small irritant of your life or a small stressor of your life to the bigger picture. Now, the third point that I want to make here is it's more about being your own therapist. Many times, in other countries, especially in the European countries, the Western countries, where there are so many mental health issues and where people are more open relatively compared to India. Millions of counselors are across the globe, many organizations, therapists, counselors, they're making millions of bucks through counseling and therapy. So I'm going to tell you a secret of how to be your own therapist today. So I'm not going to throw psychological jargons at you like cognitive behavior therapy or rational emotive behavior therapy. Let me tell you in very simple terms what these therapists are doing for their people when they're managing anxiety disorders or when they're managing people who are dealing with stress. So the first thing probably is acceptance. Accepting where you are, what your situation is. So for example, if Julie would have acknowledged the fact that, yes, I'm already late now what? I think somebody needs to be on mute. So the first thing is probably accepting. So if Julie would have accepted that, okay, I'm late, now what? Now what is it that I can do next? Probably her problem may not have been as bad. So you start by focusing on acceptance. Accept what is happening. Second important point, if you want to be your own therapist, is to ensure that you do positive self-talk. Now, what is positive self-talk? I'm sure most of you would have watched 3 Idiots, the movie in which Aamir Khan was the main lead actor. And if you have seen in that movie, he's constantly telling himself in all circumstances, all is well, all is well. Every time he's stressed, whether it is because of the professor, whether there's some other circumstances, all he keeps doing is telling himself, all is well. All is well is nothing but positive self-talk. He's telling himself that things will get better. It will improve. Things are in my control. I can do it. Now, you know, many times it's easier said than done. One is really not able to always be positive. And I understand that. And the same goes for me as well. So what do we do when we are not able to be positive at times? I would recommend that you surround yourself with positive people. Sometimes life circumstances are such that we may not be really able to, you know, stay positive. And, you know, no matter how positive we are, we might sometimes become very negative because of the situation. What is important is to be surrounded by positive people. Surround yourself with people who will talk about the positive aspects of the situation rather than focus and channelize on your energy on thinking about the negatives. The third important point is allow yourself to be humans. Very important. So many times we think that, you know, we have to be perfect. Perfectionism can be very stressful. We cannot make everyone happy. There is no way. Nobody can do that. You cannot be the best teacher and at the same time, the best wife, the best mother, you know, the best colleague, the best everything. Sometimes, somewhere, something might take a hit. Well, it's not wrong to, you know, trying to be the best version of yourself. Great. But not at the cost of being stressful. Because when you become stressful, you're actually going to have a ripple effect on others around you. So you might think that I'm doing a good job. I'm being an excellent mother. Julie might feel that, yes, I called up, I managed everything very well and smoothly, but perhaps for the daughter, that day she really needed some care and concern, but instead she got fired. So you may feel that I have been a perfect, you know, I've tried my best and I've done everything, but because you are stressed, it's actually harming your relationships. And we are having other consequences, which could probably be stressing out others in some cases. So acceptance, positive self-talk, and allowing yourself to be human are the three very important things here. Now, the fourth point that I really want to talk about, is about exercise, meditate, and breathe. Somebody mentioned when we were discussing about Julie's case that, you know, she must probably meditate, she must breathe. And I tend to agree with that person. You know what happens when you exercise? Research shows that your body releases chemicals called as endorphins. These endorphins interact with the receptors in your brain that can reduce your perception of pain. Endorphins also trigger a positive feeling in your body and reduce depression. So all these three, exercising, meditation, and breathing exercises will actually in some form help release these endorphins. So it will definitely have an impact on you physiologically. Managing change is the next one. At this point, I have specially included because this is post-COVID time. I think probably when I was growing up, we always studied about AC and BC, which was before Christ and after Christ. And now we are in times where the next generations will say before Corona and after Corona when it comes to AC and BC. So this point has been included because we are going through unprecedented times. We are managing a lot of change. Teachers were never trained for virtual classes, yet they're doing it. Our workplace and homes were meant to be two separate locations, but today we are working from home. And working from home has its own challenges. We have kids at home. We don't have helpers sometimes. We don't have, in fact, now in the recent past, most of the times, some of us also have small houses, and taking lectures in these circumstances can be very challenging. To make matters worse, there may be difficult student, internet issue. So many of us spoke about, you know, somebody said that I don't have electricity in my house. Somebody mentioned that my internet connection is weak. Somebody was struggling with their laptop and said that, you know, I finally had to log in through my phone. So there's so many other issues to add on to the stress. Having said that, we have only two choices. What are your choices? The first choice is to blame others, the environment, for our plight and stay stressed. What is your second choice? figure out what is the best way to manage the change and stress. How do we do that is a question. Now, to be able to manage that stress, I will take you back to the circle of influence that we spoke about a little while ago. It is very important to be able to think about what is it that you can really control. Can you really control coronavirus? Can you really control and say that, okay, now from today onwards, I will not work from home? Can you really control the changes that have been in some form by default or design that have come to us in some manner? If you cannot control, there is no point in spending your time and energy in the red circle. Probably one could look at other areas. Okay, maybe if I'm struggling with technology, maybe if Zoom or if some platform that I'm not comfortable with, maybe I can train myself. Maybe in my spare time, I could probably understand how to use this platform more effectively. Maybe read something about how I could engage the students if that is an area of concern for you. So depending on whatever is your pain area or your stressor, it is a good idea to probably analyze what is your circle of concern, what is their circle of influence, and what is it that you can really control. So with that, we will move to the 6th point, which is gratitude and laughter. Now, what happens when you give gratitude? You actually, when you give gratitude, you're moving from a loss frame to a gain frame, which is a shift from what is not working to what is working. Or in other words, in layman's words, you are counting your blessings, and the more you do that, the more you realize that you are indeed much more fortunate. So now, instead of focusing your energy on all the negative thoughts, when you're counting your blessings, or when you're listing down what good things have happened in your life and what are you thankful for, you are actually focusing your thoughts into something more positive. The term laughter, when I talk of laughter, I've mentioned gratitude and laughter particularly in this point. When I talk about laughter, it takes me back years ago, when I studied about, there was this wonderful theory which I studied about called James Lange theory of emotions. Now, while there are many theories that talk about how people experience and feel emotions, this theory particularly stuck in my mind. So what is this James Lange theory? So according to James Lange theory of emotions, emotions occur as a result of physiological reactions to the event. I repeat, emotions occur as a result of physiological reactions to the event, which means because we cry, we are sorry. Because we tremble, we are afraid. And because we laugh, we are happy. Now, this theory is very counterintuitive. Normally, we all know that, if we are sad, we will cry. If we are happy, we will laugh. But this is something different. And probably because of this reason, we see so many laughter clubs in Mumbai thriving all over the place. You find so many people and individuals in parks laughing. Perhaps in some form, this theory influences you in that sense. Now, the 7th point that I want to make here is socialize and network. Now, research shows that socializing has many benefits. Some of them are, 1, you may live longer. You may enjoy better physical and mental health, and also lower the risk of dementia. Other benefits of socializing could include happiness, opportunity to vent out with friends. Similarly, even networking has its advantages. And what is the difference between socializing and networking? Socializing is usually with friends. However, networking is more with colleagues. Now, what happens when you do this? When you do this, when you socialize, you network, you are constantly channelizing yourself. Although during COVID, it becomes a little difficult because the only way we socialize and network probably is through virtual communication. But whatever it is, one must constantly try to socialize to ensure better quality of physical and mental health. Now, the 8th point that I would like to focus on, investing time in yourself. Now, this is something which many of us miss out, many of us, and I think I'm one of them. So, for those of you who have traveled in planes, you would have heard, दूसरों की सहायता करने से पहले अपना ऑक्सीजन मास्क लगाएं. You see, in the aeroplane, in the plane when we are flying, there's often an announcement that, you know, before you help others, please put on your own oxygen mask. Now, what does that mean? If you are stressed, if you are upset, that is exactly what you're going to give others. You will not be able to pass happiness. You will not be able to pass on the joy. You will not be able to enjoy little things in life. So it is very important to invest time in yourself. Do whatever you like. Laugh, watch movies, go, listen to music, go for a spa, enjoy online shopping, enjoy a drink or two with your friends, do whatever it takes online, virtually. Nowadays, everything is virtually. So do whatever it takes, but invest time in yourself. And when I'm talking about investing time in yourself, I think another very important aspect that many of us miss out is rest. Research shows that it is not just the quantity, but also the quality of the sleep that is important. Please make sure that you rest yourself well. Each of us have a different requirement. For some of us, 7 hours of sleep is enough. For others, we need our 8.5, 9 hours of sleep. So do take the time out for yourself. So these are some of the ways by which you can manage stress. Now, now we're almost ending. This is the last slide. So the most important question, how do we manage what we have just learned? And how do we enjoy the lasting change? So I hope to have motivated you to, work on some of these strategies, maybe take back 1, 2, or some even 3, some of these strategies. But how do we ensure? We have attended so many stress management workshops. Now, how do I ensure that I am able to sustain this? How do you enjoy this lasting change? This reminds me of, an analogy I heard years ago. So if I probably ask you, how many of you have brushed in the morning? Probably all hands will go up. But maybe if I ask you, how many of you have actually kept up to all your New Year's resolution? That means fulfilled all your New Year's resolution. I really doubt if more than 1 or 2 hands would probably go up. How many of us have actually fulfilled all our New Year's resolution? Now, what is the difference between brushing your teeth and New Year's resolution? Now, the difference is for New Year's resolution, you're all motivated, you're all pumped up, but brushing is an habit. You don't have to think twice in the morning. Even if you're woken up in the middle of your sleep, maybe at 4:30 or 5, which is not your usual waking up time, you still know by force of habit, you will actually go and brush your teeth. So the difference is, one is a habit and the other is a motivation. You get motivated. What I'm trying to say is that this workshop would have actually motivated you. But making it a habit is totally up to you. Motivation gets you started. Habit keeps you going. So make it a routine. Let's make it a habit. So thank you. That brings to the end of the session. Thank you very much for listening to me so patiently.
Yeah.
So we look forward to the next session with you on 24th. When you are going to deal with interpersonal relationship and something that is related to it. So thank you once again, Dr. Shivangi and Anju Patra, and thank you, my dear colleagues, for being such active and enthusiastic participants. Look forward to your company next time on 24th of this month at 1 p.m. Thank you very much.